I'm Tyler Anderson and welcome to another episode of Skeeter School. In this video, you're going to learn some of the tips that I use when I'm operating or maintaining my Skeeter boat. But be sure to read your owner's manual for a complete guide on operating and maintaining your Skeeter boat. You launch in the morning, it is super calm, no waves out there, and then in the middle of the day, that wind shifts to the north, it gets wavy and big out there, and so you have to force yourself to get back to the ramp, because you can't just pull the boat out somewhere else, you have to go through the belly of the beast. And so in this video, we're gonna talk about how exactly to best and safely drive in big water. Welcome to class. First thing, when it comes to being out on the lake and the lake turns rough on you, you must place a greater emphasis on making sure everything inside your Skeeter is secured. So I'm talking about strapping down your trolling motor so it can't pop up on you, putting away your scissors, pliers, any loose lures, making sure they have a home, and of course, having your life jacket on with the kill switch attached. These are non-negotiables for navigating rough water. Here on my FXR, I am utilizing a hot foot for my throttle control down there, as well as a blinker tab for my engine trim. Having both of these frees up both of my hands to be able to drive safely out there on the water. I understand not every boat has these, but if you do or have the opportunity to, it will definitely help with driving safely in rough water. And I cannot stress this enough, take caution, be cautious out there on the water. So with that said, I say we talk about situation number one, which is driving upwind. Trim positioning is one of the most important things to understand when driving in rough water, so we're going to talk about it in all three of our rough water situations. When it comes to driving upwind, you want to get up on plane, of course, with the trim all the way down, and only trim up if you feel comfortable to do so. So around 1 to 2 foot waves, I'm going to trim basically up until the steering wheel starts to get a lot easier to turn, and I kind of feel like I'm in control of that without trimming too high that I lose my cut, my dig into the waves. And if it's 3 to 4 foot waves, the whole goal is going to be kind of plowing through those waves, which requires me to trim down and of course slow down. And so like I just said, the whole goal of driving upwind is to plow through those waves with your nose angled up a little bit if they're bigger waves, or skip over the top of each wave if they're smaller. And so when it comes to trim, if you're trimmed too far down the entire time and you go over one wave and continue the same throttle, your nose is going to stuff down into the next wave, which is not what you want to do. But something else you don't want to do is have your trim so high that anytime you come off a wave, you kind of slap back down and you're kind of porpoising and bouncing your nose, because that's not safe either, and that can lead to damage to your boat and of course can stuff the nose as well. And so not every boat is going to be the same, not every trim is going to be the same. You're going to have to learn what that feels like on your own watercraft and make sure that you take it slow and be cautious to start. So I say we hop out in the water and show you guys what it looks like for, in my Skeeter boat, my bass boat, to drive upwind. Trim up a little bit, steering wheel gets easier, and I can go. Maybe trim down a little bit more. And my nose is never in any danger of stuffing. I'm just kind of plowing through those waves. Yeah! Alrighty, so now that we've shown you guys how to drive upwind, I say we turn this boat around and show you guys what downwind looks like. Now, trim is also very important to talk about when driving downwind, almost more important than driving upwind. The trim position I like to have when driving my FXR is just barely above fully trimmed down. Now, it's a very minimal difference, but it does make a big deal out on the water. I'm telling you, no matter what speed you're going, at some point, if you are fully trimmed down and you're driving down those waves downwind, you are going to eventually spear a wave. I know, because I've done it myself. And so I want to hop on plane, raise that trim a little bit just so the steering wheel gets a little bit easier to turn. And then the technique that I'm going to use is what I call like a gentle hop. I'm going to go off the top of one wave, going downwind, and then kind of slowly land my hull gently onto the next wave, accelerate a little bit to go up that wave, and then gently land on the next one. too much speed and you're going to kind of hop that wave you were hoping to land on, your nose is going to go down this way and you're going to spear the next wave and not enough speed, and you're going to end up kind of like riding over that wave, and instead of launching yourself into the next one, you're just going to accelerate down that one and stuff the nose. It's all about finding that perfect balance of speed and trim. So let's go on the water and see what it looks like. Just like this, a little bit trimmed up, riding over a wave and into the next one. Not too fast. Any faster, and my nose kind of starts going a little lower in those waves, so I want to slow down, ride over one, and hit the next. All right, so the last rough water situation is going to be crosswind. Let's head to the calm area and talk about it. When driving across the wind and waves, you're going to want to be monitoring and adjusting your trim level, your speed/throttle, and your direction almost constantly. And so the phrase that I like to use when describing driving crosswind is going to be drive the valley or drive the trough. And what that looks like is keeping your boat positioned in the space in between two waves and looking up ahead for where the next valley might be. And if done correctly, it is a safer ride, it's a smoother ride, and it's a quicker ride as well to get across the lake. And one more thing that I don't think many, especially newer boat owners, understand is that you don't always have to make one straight shot from where you are to where you're going on the lake. And as a matter of fact, I rarely do that on really windy and wavy days because that's not the safest way to go. What you're going to want to do is kind of imagine what it would look like to drive maybe downwind for a little bit or upwind for a little bit. That way you can then drive crosswind for the majority of your time. It's all about picking the right lines out there on the water and not always taking a direct straight shot. Again, we're not talking about speed here. If you got to get back to the boat ramp for tournament check-in and you only have a few minutes, oftentimes it's not even going to get you there faster to go the crazy rough way, and it's going to have more wear and tear on your body and on your boat than if you took it slow, gave yourself more time, and maybe took some zigzags across the lake to then have an easier drive the rest of your time. So with that said, let's go on the water and see what it looks like to drive crosswind. It can be hard to find that trough right away, but once you find it, it's smooth. And there it is. Ah! A much smoother ride once you find those troughs. Alrighty, we talked about driving upwind, we talked about driving downwind, and we talked about driving crosswind. My name's Tyler, and this has been another episode of Skeeter School. We'll see y'all next time. I could cut it there, but yeah, cut it there, cool.